Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly take on the market. Today is Friday, May 17th. It's about 2 o'clock Pacific time. I will be your host. My name is Scott St. Clair. I'm the manager of the premium product group here at Investors Business Daily. Disclaimer, please. I'm not licensed. Nobody at IBD is licensed that I'm aware of. I can't tell you what to buy, how many shares to buy, what to sell, but I am in there with you. Most, if not all, of my colleagues have skin in the game. It's a great perk to working here is that we can invest our own accounts pretty freely. We do fall under a compliance umbrella, but I love it, as most of you are probably aware. It's a love-hate relationship, right? Sometimes it's tough, but I love the intellectual game of investing in the markets. Okay, so market thoughts, industry groups, stocks to watch, quote of the week. I anticipate this video will be a little bit shorter than normal, though sometimes I've said that and then I've droned on and on. Is that the word? See, I've already done it. I have been on jury duty this week, so I have not paid much attention to the markets. I've watched the stuff that I own, but kind of the overall market, I feel a little bit out of touch with. So this will kind of be new to me as well. So let's go ahead and open up the charts. And here's a chart of the NASDAQ. So like I was looking at this, I didn't realize that the big volume that we had yesterday. And even today, the volume is pretty good. I don't know if that's skewed by, some small stock, penny stock or something like that. Like I said, I've been out of touch, so I don't really know kind of what that means. But the price, I'm a big proponent of the price. The price is most important. And I know you hear a lot of thoughts about the volume, but we're in an uptrend. You should have some stocks if you don't want to be 100% or on margin. I get it. I'm not always doing that myself, but there's stuff to buy and it's very diversified. The market seems fine. Now, that being said, we made a new high right here. And so if we did this, I would change my tune very rapidly on the strength of the market. So if we come off and undercut those highs and start to stay below that, I would really change, because anytime you make a new high, you really want to kind of some type of smooth sailing. If it doesn't, like look at here. So when that happened, you kind of went into although this doesn't look that bad, that's pretty nasty correction. You see here, never quite got there, but when we did, that's a really good trend where you can make some money. Here, not all that great, but good enough. So we're in new highs, and so it doesn't have to run, but I would like it to stay above that kind of shelf area for what it's worth. On the thoughts on the market and the IBD philosophy, we don't have all the answers. We debate it internally all the time. Chris Kessel, Justin, Mike, I could go on all of them. We talk about exposure and how to determine all of that. It's just a guide. The exposure is just a guide. If we say 40 to 60, does that mean you have to be 40 to 60? No. I think what we're trying to tell you is you probably want to own something. So if we said we were 40 to 60 and you were 140%, I would say, well, you better know what you're doing. Maybe you've got a hold of a tiger. Maybe you've got a really strong, big position in an NVIDIA or something. And so that would make sense for you. If you're at 0% invested and we're at 60 to 80, I would say, well, what's going on? Why would you be at 0 and we have this kind of target number? Maybe you're not trading that well. Maybe you just feel out of sync. Okay, well, that makes sense. But so you just kind of gives you a gauge on that. I'm not, if we go to 60 to 80 and I'm 47% invested, I'm not running out and buying 13% more to get to 60. It's not how that should work. So the three-legged stool we had before, my humble opinion is the markets are just so dynamic and changing rapidly. and we needed to change with it. I know some people are like, well, Bill's legacy and Bill O'Neill would have done this and done that. And I would say, and Justin would say, who's worked very closely with Bill would change. A great quote from John Maynard Keynes, I guess it's attributed to him, is, when the facts change, I change. What do you do, sir? So the market has changed, and so we need to change with it. So that's just my thoughts on that. But in all honesty, the market has been very difficult for me in the last 20 years, 15 years. I've used it less and less and less. When I'm doing well, like now, I didn't even know what the market was doing. I had a handful of stocks, and because I was busy and a lot of times unable to even look, I just knew what I owned, and I knew where I was getting out and where I was getting in, and it's actually very freeing. It's not a bad way to trade, to be honest with you. So I'm getting less and less away from the markets, the overall markets. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, and that's just my opinion or my process. If you have a process, let me give you another quote, another great quote. Do more of what works and less of what doesn't. For me, more of what works was focus on individual stocks. My focus on what the market was doing wasn't working that well for me. It was shaking me out of good names, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm doing less of what doesn't for myself. And I would just say, consider the same for you. So we're in an uptrend. I mean, if I had to trade this market only, oops, I didn't want to go to the small cap, but maybe I will. Interesting. It's hard to argue right there. So we're in new highs, and I would just be, I would get concerned if we broke below that at this point. Let's go to the Russell, because I think I saw that Duquesne Family Office had a position in IWM or calls. I think maybe I saw that on Twitter or something. But this has been an underperformer for a while. So if it can somehow kind of get going, maybe you've got a lot of room to run. I mean, it hasn't made a new high for 3 years. Very interesting. Let me turn my camera off too. I apologize. Just make sure you can see the charts. And there's all kinds of markets that seem to be acting okay. Look at emerging markets. Nothing wrong with that. I know not everybody's going to own Poland, of course, but all-time highs. Was it Peru I was looking at? Yeah. What's wrong with that? If you lived in Peru and you bought the index 35 to 44, not too bad. How about Chile? How's that doing? Yeah, it's lower, but it's moving. So there's lots of places to be invested, and even everybody's most hated market has gone nothing but up right here. So FXI, KWeb, very, very strong. And a name that I own, JD, hasn't done too bad. So it just seems like it's a worldwide bull market, and it is until it changes. Anything else? I guess you could look at, if we're going to talk about overall market, like the gold market seems to be holding up really well. Silver had a really, look at silver today. Wow. What is that saying? I don't know. I don't know what it's saying. It's kind of fun to try to figure it out, but I don't have to. But that looks super, super strong. Can you buy it here? I don't think so. I think you should already own it if you were going to own it. A lot of places you could have bought, if you loved it, you could have bought the pullback. Or you buy the first tier, you buy it here, you buy it here. How many chances do you want, right? So super, super strong. I don't own silver. I do own the gold one, but silver's been better here in the last handful of days for sure. I think, oh, and even yeah, I thought I just can't bring myself to do it, but I thought about it. Buying Bitcoins coming out of this off the moving average here. It's getting very close, kind of like a downtrend here. If I go to the weekly, Look at, I mean, if I just turned off all this stuff and just gave you this chart, it's a pretty bullish chart. It's a pretty bullish chart. Hard for me to argue with that. So I actually considered buying it. I didn't, but considered it. Okay, let's go to the industry groups. Computer hardware, that's Dell. It's been really good. Let's pull up Dell. And SMCI, not as good as Dell. Dell's been the leader. Building maintenance, interesting. Can't say I know too much about that one. Software database, heavy construction. Another one moving. Wow, look at that. 102.44. Transportation ship. Is that like TNK? Oh no, that's pipeline. Transportation ship, would that be like Sting? I guess I could just look, right? How about we look there? So this is what I would do on a Sunday, because I can't think of, normally I know right off the bat. Maybe that's like GSL is probably, yeah, Global Ship Leasing. And this was mentioned on IB Live, and I think I said that I'd rather buy LPG or something like that. And boy, that was wrong, because this has done really, really well. I got that one wrong for sure. So I would pull up this like this, open up this panel, stocks and group, show all component data, and I would just go through them like this. Euro C, oops, I went too fast. Costa, wow, look at that one. Safe Bulkers, SB, Kirby. Huh. Something's going on there, right? So I don't know how far I would go down this list. Oh, is this a new issue? BW, or is it a spinoff? I don't see the stamp, so I'm gonna guess maybe it's a spinoff. Huh. Kind of dropped the ball on this one too. I might have bought that right there. Interesting. So I would add this to, I'm just gonna do this. I create like I know it's not a perfect, but I just in case, I want to have something on there. So I have some kind of alert, and maybe I'll even do one down here. I've got her surrounded. So now I'm kind of watching. It's a little thin, like 109,000 shares, but I kind of want to watch that. So that's how I would use the industry groups. I just want to look at where I've something's going on that I'm might be unaware of. Steel, specialty alloys. So it feels like the industry groups, the composure of, or the components is the right word I was looking for, of it have changed. So I think I need to do some work on this weekend. Okay, so let's jump into stocks. Let's go to Dell. I know I mentioned that. So I love buying like this, and I don't know, I just don't own this one, but I love when they gap up and then they undercut these lows, and you get to shake out, and then when they come back up through those lows, that's how I like to buy them. So now I don't think I would have survived 136 to 114. It's not highly unlikely I would have survived that, but I might have been able to, change my mind on it for a handful of points and then buy it back again, something like that. So this is acting really well. SMCI is in the same group, not as good as Dell. The earnings and sales are larger, but Dell seems to be acting better. NVIDIA. So you've got earnings next week. Should be interesting for sure. Everybody's waiting with bated breath on how NVIDIA does. CrowdStrike looks very viable. I should own it. I don't. I should. Kind of missed I've watched it go up about 30 points when I had it queued up to buy. Tidewater holding up really well. How about on the infrastructure side? So Vista, this or Vistra, I should say. You get the ants again. It's very extended. CEG was coming out of the space. I don't own this any longer. I sold it on the way up into the earnings, but it's, for most people, it's done nothing wrong. Copper, oops, SCCO. I think copper, the metal, is going crazy, but the stocks are just okay. Maybe it's because they got to get it out of the ground and all that, but this is holding up really well. ARM, yeah, just MEH. Is that Meta? Eh, just meh. Apple is interesting to me. I do own Apple. First time in a long time I've owned it. It gapped up, undercut the low, came back up. That's how I bought it. It's a little slower than most stocks I'm going to buy, but it is Apple. And so it gives me exposure kind of to the whole market without having to buy the whole market. And somebody, excuse me, on, I think it was CNBC or Bloomberg or something, I watched an interview and the guy said his kind of hidden AI play was Apple. And his thought process was very compelling to me in that you've got all these apps that are going to use AI. I don't know if you saw the kind of Chat GPT thing where they spoke to each other back and forth in Italian and English. It was really amazing how fast this segment is accelerating. And if it gets really good and we're all running around with AI, we've got to upgrade our phones. And so I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. If you're going to upgrade your phone, I don't know what the market share for Apple is in the world, but it's incredibly high. Now, it's a big company, market cap wise. The earnings and sales are not that exciting for sure, but can it go from, if that were to happen, 190 to 220 or something like that? For sure. And if I need to get out, I can get out quick. I'm not going to get killed in it. So I kind of like this one. It's a bit of an underperformer for sure, but that his thought process made sense to me. And so I thought, again, invest first, investigate later. If it starts to go up, I'll buy it, and then I'll see if it can keep going. Did I do NVIDIA already? Feel like I did, just in case. I feel like I did. You got earnings coming. We just have to kind of wait it out. I do not own NVIDIA. I don't know what I'm going to do in the earnings. I'm probably going to be on the sidelines for it. It's gapped up on earnings here. Here, it was like an after hours gap up. So I think it was like way up there and then it came back. You've got another gap here. This one went down. So it's not like it's gapped up 3 times in a row. That'd make me pretty nervous. But it's the leader, and everybody's watching that one for sure. What else is out there that I have on the brain? I'm looking at my list. I guess stock I don't talk about too much. Microsoft, something you can kind of keep and own. Newer name, CMT, looks pretty good. It is Israeli. I did notice that. I think maybe that's what kept me from it. And then international, it's been some like Sea Limited. This was really tough, this pullback, but gosh, this stock is acting great. Coupang, I know a lot of people not doing a whole lot, but not doing anything wrong either. It just goes to kind of that, you got to have patience. I just need to learn a little bit more patience. This stock, GGAL, I don't know if the pattern rec saw it. Yeah. So I was buying this cup with handle, and I think I owned it here, and then it pulled back here, and I got shaken out. So sometimes you just have to have the courage of your convictions. I was really convicted in it. I've seen this stock make big moves before. Look at how like it's like it can really get going both ways. And I really thought that we were on the verge of something like this again. And I just kind of lost the courage in my convictions, but just patience. Sometimes if it's not hurting you, you gotta at least have some type of position. This is another one. Don't get out of it completely, because I find as long as I have a little bit of it, can always add to it. But when you get out completely, that makes it really hard, and you kind of lose sight of it. At least I do. Again, what works for me is don't get out completely. I can tell myself that. Keep keep a 5% position or something. It's not going to hurt you. And then new A-Lab. This is a tough stock. Like I bought it, was that yesterday, and sold it. No, this looks weird. What's going on here? I feel like it's missing a day. Yeah, that was weird. I bought it here and then sold it yesterday. It looked good, and then, but bought it here and then had to sell it here because I just didn't want it to give back the gain I'd made. So it just looks like it needs time, but I like this one. Probably here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit another trend line alert on that one. Now, those numbers are compelling. Probably not going to stay the course there, but very compelling to me. I think somebody mentioned AMD on IB Live. If I had any interest in shorting, that does look like a short. But I don't really have any interest in shorting yet. I'll get interested in shorting if the market were to take out that marked high I told you about. Tesla. Let's get rid of that. It just doesn't look like a short. As much as I think it's a short, the market is voting. It doesn't look like a short. If you gave me this chart and I didn't know what it was, I wouldn't want to be short that. So I have to honor what I see, not what I think I see or what I want to see. And then on the, is it ONON? Tough stock to own, but acting really well. Deckers, building a base. Crocs, kind of building a base as well. What is it? ANF. See, I would have thought that this was the top in ANF. So if I go to the weekly, it just looks it's just so steep. And so when it broke, I actually thought, or I don't remember if I did short it, or I definitely wanted to when it broke like that, but it's not gone down. So it's kind of gives you a good clue about the overall market. Chipotle, and then they're going to do a 50 for one. Again, it just doesn't go down. So you have to sometimes just respect the simple price action. It just doesn't. The market, the leading stocks, maybe they're not going up exactly how we'd prefer them to, but they sure aren't going down. All right, so let's jump into. See, I didn't have any screenshots for the market because I just haven't been in the front of the screen till today, Friday. I was in court all week till today. Quote of the week. And I was scrambling for this too. I usually like to pull up the quote of the week early in the week and I'll change the deck. And today I was looking and I was like, did I do that quote of the week? I had the quote of the week from last week. So I had to watch the old video. Otherwise I was going to do the quote of the week twice, which would have been embarrassing. I've done this one before, but it's been a while, I believe. If you want anything except money, you're probably going to fail at trading. It's my job. I'm here to make money. Nothing else matters. I'll make mistakes. I'll trade too high, too big, too small, but it's all calculation. I don't feel like I'm a bad person when I lose money. I don't feel like I'm the smartest person in the world when I make money. Aaron Brown, I think he was a risk manager at AQR. I didn't put that because I didn't have time to look it up, but I'm fairly certain it was at AQR. He's written a couple of books. He has some YouTube and podcasts. Very thoughtful market operator. I like listening to him, but I like this one. It's all about, I just want to make money. I don't want to be right. I have a big position in uranium, for example. And sometimes I find that I just want that to work. So I can say, I told you guys so, uranium to the moon. I have to fight that urge because I need to honor what the stock is doing. Like CCJ, I forgot to mention that one. Looks really, really good. And I have a position in that one. But it's like I don't need to marry it. What do I know about uranium, right? I know just enough to be dangerous, just enough to put on a position. But in the end, I'm a risk manager too. So I have to honor the price action. So I'm not a bad person if I lose in uranium. I'm not the dumbest person in the world if this trade doesn't work for me. and vice versa. If uranium goes to the moon and I make a bunch of money in it, it's not like I had nothing to do with it. I was just along for the ride and was able to interpret kind of the supply demand of it. And there's a narrative there. And I had the courage and the patience and the imagination to take the trade. And last but not least, I executed the trade correctly. So there's like 4 things I have taped right here. I'm looking right here because so you have to have the courage to take the trade. If you see a trade, you got to take that trade. And then you have to have the patience to stay with it. I had the courage to buy Argentinian banks. Who's out there buying Argentinian banks? Well, Stanley Druckenmiller is, after I was already buying them. I had the courage, but I didn't have the patience. You got to have all 4 in my. I have to have the imagination and vision to create a big win. I've got to imagine something I'm buying at 20 can be 36, or something I'm buying at 30 can be 65. And then I have to execute that trade. I can't buy it at 30 and sell it at 32 and watch it go to 60 and be upset about it because I didn't execute correctly. So I went off on a tangent. I apologize, but the quote made me think about that. For me, there's 4 things I got to do correctly. And that's what makes trading hard, but it's also what makes trading fun. Okay, everyone. Thank you for your time today. Have a great weekend. I think I'll be back next week because the following week will be the Stay in Step with Arnie and Harold. So 800-831-2525, market surge at investors.com. Bye, everyone.